Welcome to the Setbreaker podcast, and today we have maybe the most controversial guest yet. We got Nick Foster. Hello, Mr. Nick Foster.
What's up, Mr. Mike Kim, I guess?
Yeah.
Got it. I'm killing it already.
No, you're killing it.
Am I really the most controversial?
I
take that as such a badge of honor. That's so awesome.
You're up there. Like, I have a friend that's just like you, and if he had the size of internet following that you did, you do, then I think it'd be like the same. Like, you would get along with him for sure.
That's awesome. You got to get him on TikTok, man. Let him start stirring the pot.
I told him to, but then like he just kind of got lazy. He said, "Fuck it." A lot of stand-up comics get lazy with it.
Yeah, that's true. You got the clout though too. You could give him a shout out. I could. You got 200 something K. I was stalking you a little bit earlier today just to do my research.
Yeah. I had 250 finally. I had 250.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. But you fucking so. I don't even know where to begin. There's so much I want to talk to you about. Okay, so right now, guys, if you don't know this, Nick Foster has like 500,
570, but who's counting?
Yeah, who's counting? I'm counting. That's why.
If it makes you feel any better, I had 580 last week, so I actually lost 10K. Controversy sometimes goes in both directions.
Oh, because you stepped on the flag?
Yes, I did. And I'll do it again.
Oh, shit. All right, so you went into TikTok. Why?
Man, I've always been a bit of a content creator. I did stand-up comedy too, just as an open micer back in the day. So I have that comedic sense and I always wanted to do it, but I'm kind of lazy too and go into shows and everything. I was doing so many other things on the internet with my own personal life. And I always wanted to get into YouTube and podcasting. And I've been kind of throwing things at the wall over the years, but then TikTok came around and I'm like, all right, I should probably try this out. And of course, Gary Vee's like shoving it down everybody's throat. Get on the TikTok. I was like, all right, Gary Vee, I'll get on the TikTok. And I just did what I always do. I just kind of troll because I do that in my type of comedy. I did that on Twitter and Facebook and YouTube over the years. And I just did it on TikTok and it started working right away. So I was like, okay, I'm going to pour the fuel on this fire.
He's like, let me double down on what works.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. That's why I got into TikTok too, because of Gary Vee.
Yeah, I bet it's pushed a lot of people into it. A lot of people do listen to Gary Vee and they just listen and they're like, okay, I'm going to do that. And they never do it. I'm one of those people that doesn't just listen to like motivate myself and not do anything. I actually am like, okay, Gary Vee, I'm going to do it. I listened to him say it about 10 times. And then I was like, okay. And then once I got on, I have not listened to Gary Vee ever since.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going. I got it. That's all I needed. Just a little kick in the pants.
Yeah. Like, thank you for the 5 and thank you for the gift.
Exactly.
Gary Vee. Yeah. It's interesting because like I see your content and obviously it could be misconstrued as like misogyny and like you like hate people in general, but like I know guys like you and you don't. You're just fucking around. Like guys like you are actually some of the nicest people that I know. Because and the way I look at it is so my friend that I was talking about, his name is Galen Nash. People think he's a piece of shit, but you get past that. Like I feel like it's like kind of like the asshole filter, and then when the person can see like you can hang and you understand. Like, it's not like you don't take it personally. Then they show their true side even more like, hey, well, you could handle that. Here you go. Here's who I really, really, really am. Now, I don't know how you think about that, but.
You're right on. I mean, you seem like a good judge of character. I don't like to, because you're spot on. I'm actually a really nice person. I'm very non-judgmental in real life, but I come off as a dick. And I put that as an act often as like a filtering system and just kind of to test people. And it's just part of my personality. It's fun. But once a lot of my friends, and I have a lot of girls who are friends too. So it's not like I hate women like a lot of people like to misconstrue, but they'll often say, I hated you when I first met you. And now they're like my best friends, it's just, that's kind of my personality. It's just, you got to get to know me. And then it's like, oh, Nick, you're a sweetheart, but you have to dig down. And a lot of people can't handle it right at first and they just run away and, it is what it is.
But I feel like that's how you can create some of the best friendships, because if you're always playing nice, if you're always trying to be likable and I feel like that's kind of being fake in a way.
And it's boring. Everybody's trying to do that. Everybody is trying to be nice and try to be liked by everybody. And it just makes everybody a fake carbon copy of everybody else.
That's absolute fact. And you know what? You know, it's funny. Before we started doing a podcast today, I made a post which started blowing up. It's getting like TikTok viral or whatever. And it's, to sum it up, it's just me basically saying how Asians eat rice, like Chinese people, like that, like
Yeah.
closer to the face. Koreans, they keep the bowl on the table and they eat with the chopstick. And then I said the third one, Asians that don't eat Asian food. So I had them give up on a chopstick and they use a spoon. I'm telling you, man, there's so many Asians that are like, well, you forgot, this group of people, that group of people, like they got mad. And I'm like, yo, what? You can't do nothing anymore. But at the same time, I think that's why I got so big. Like,
Yeah.
I wasn't even trying to like fuck with them. I'm like, what?
Yeah. You
Yeah.
would think they'd be getting mad, like you're stereotyping Asians or don't use a spoon or whatever, but they're just getting mad because they weren't included in it.
Yeah, exactly. Like I just feel like people feel so entitled to not just their feelings, but just their existence. It's like
Yeah.
you have to, what they don't understand is to be quote unquote like relevant in, let's say, even entertainment, you got to fucking prove yourself one way or another. If I just complain like, oh, they don't like me because I'm white, what does that fucking do, man? They don't like me because this, you know what I mean?
You got to put through. Yeah. I mean, even just on TikTok or in general, I got on and I got met with backlash right away where people were trying to cancel me, trying to shut me down. And a lot of people in my position, if they weren't my personality, might just be like, fuck this, I'm going to back down. Like, and you don't get over that hump. You have to push through it and just keep going. And then it takes off and you can build a brand around that. But yeah, people don't want to push through the pain to define themselves.
Was it tough at first when you were getting all that like wave of hatred?
Honestly, no, because
No.
I have done this. I am a troll at heart. I do this in real life. I have built up a lot of confidence over the years. It wasn't much different than what I've experienced on like Twitter, or I really used to Facebook troll a lot back when Facebook was much more relevant before the 2016 election. And I was really good at trolling and dealing with the backlash. It was much smaller scale, but as soon as I started getting the big backlash on TikTok, I was like, this is my wheelhouse. I've been training for this for 10 years. I didn't even know. And it just was like, it was pure fun for me. But it is it is another pressure because it's like, it's serious when you wake up to thousands and thousands of people just saying shit about you. And it was a bit of a learning curve, but now it's just kind of a fun game. It doesn't really bother me at all.
So you get death threats.
Yes, a lot. And they come in waves too. It depends on the current controversy I'm in because I've had a few. And then it's like for a few weeks, they'll flood my DMs, they'll flood my Instagram. And if you go down my Instagram, you can find certain posts and just read the comments. And it's like, oh, they were not liking him today, And then it's like you'll go a few days later and it's all fans. And my DMs get filled and then they disappear for a while. And then it's all fans again. My girlfriend gets hit up. She wakes up and she's like, Nick, what'd you step into today? I got a whole bunch of DMs and it's just people will find everybody. My friends, they'll dig up all my friends on my Instagram and go through like years of posts and find somebody I tagged like 6 years ago and DM them. Do you know what your friend is saying on the internet? Like these people dig up your life. They try to find anything about you. And now I'm in a position where I'm literally like, I have to ask my friends permission when I take a photo and we're just on a boat or at the beach or something like, all right, do you want me to tag you in this? You have to know that you might wake up to a lot of hate messages one day because of something I do. And they're like, yeah, tag me. And others are like, nah, could you not? And it's a new world for me, but I get it all the time. It just comes in waves.
That shows me that people do what they think is cool at the moment, like literally following the crowd.
Yeah, I mean, people just follow what is trendy. I mean, even the backlash of the hate, a lot of people don't even know why they're offended. They're just offended because they were told this is offensive. And it's like, does this even apply to you? No, but I have a friend's cousin's uncle who this applies to, and you should think about him. It's like, okay, I guess.
Yeah, and then when you ask them, because like I've had people get offended at certain things I've said on TikTok, and then I'll ask them, somebody says something about, oh, this is manipulation, because I just said some shit about like persuasion and stuff. And they're like, this is manipulation. And I was like, how is it manipulation? Tell me in detail. And then they'll literally be like, well, I mean, it's just probably not something good to do. That's all I'm saying. Like they'll give up. They don't even know why. You're right. They don't fucking know.
They're just triggered. It's just like they're just little triggered sheep. They react to what they've been told is offensive. Nobody's actually thought it. I mean, that was my thing with the flag. That was opposite of what I usually troll. It was kind of trolling my own audience. And they just like flipped out. And I'm like, Did you even think why this is offensive? Like, the point of what I'm doing is not I hate America, yet you still just are like, but when you step on the flag, that means you hate America. So you hate America. And they like don't even think, they just react. And it happens to everybody.
Do you subscribe or are you part of any political side?
I lean, if you actually ask my real policies, I mean, I probably am, I'm center leaning to the left on real policies. However, the left has pushed me so far out because of their political correctness and the woke culture, the peace, all of that is what I'm a free speech absolutist. So most of what I do is just proving don't try to censor me. Don't tell me what I can say. Don't tell me what is moral and immoral. Don't, when you start calling me a racist or a misogynist or a sexist or a homophobe for everything, I'm just going to keep doing that because that's the thing I fight against mostly. But I'm an independent. I voted for Trump because of the trollish behavior, but I also voted for Obama twice. So I'm not a Republican and I'm not a Democrat. I'm just kind of just an independent. I don't really subscribe to one side or the other as a true ideology.
And you bring up a great point because I've been thinking this. I was like, I know people that have voted for Trump and they're not racist. They have their own reasons, whether it's because of business or whatever. And when it's this us against them mentality, I know for a fact it's doing more harm than good. It's turning people that aren't racist, especially white people, and it's making them want to be racist because it's like they get no relief from anything. It's like, I'm not even doing anything. It's like, so what else are they going to do? Like, it's kind of, why did gangs start? Gangs have started in the hood because they wanted to protect each other in the neighborhoods. Just same concept, I believe.
Yeah, it's tribalism. I mean, you see this just with sports. Why is somebody a diehard Yankees fan or what, name the team? Why? Just because they were born on that patch of dirt and their parents were a Yankees fan. They just pick that team and they're like, no matter what, and the more you say your team sucks, the more you're going to say your team sucks. And that's what people do,
And people fight each other over sports and people die.
Yeah. I mean, I think that sports is a perfect symbolism of what political parties are. You're just picking a team and you're just saying, this is my team. And you just adopt whatever that team says. And you're a diehard fan. I try not to do that.
Yeah. You must feel kind of like a puppeteer in a sense, because you know exactly how people are going to act, right? Because you've been doing your content for so long. You're like, if I do this will happen. They'll act like this and blah, blah, right?
Yeah. Oftentimes when I'm posting things, I have to think ahead of like all the angles, like what they're going to come back with, what the comments are going to be, how they're going to spin it. I try to pick my words really wisely in certain jokes. And I could pull up a whole bunch to kind of analyze them. But, my old account got deleted, obviously. You actually hit me up right before my old account got banned. And I was like, wow, perfect timing. Now you can get me on as 0 followers, but I got them all back, thankfully. But yeah, I'm always thinking about like, how is this going to be spun? What's the backlash going to be? And I try to foresee that. And then sometimes I might make a miswording or a misstep. And then there's a backlash that I'm like, oh, I should have saw that coming. And now I have to deal with it and I have to spin it some other way. And I'm always just doubling down, and whatever they come back at me with, I'm going to spin it some other way and just keep trolling in a different direction. And they can never really pin me down.
So in real life, though, this doesn't really affect you. It's just more like in the internet space.
Yeah. I mean, I am a troll in real life, but I'm also much more nuanced and empathetic. If I'm having a conversation with somebody and they're going through a hard thing, I'm not just going to mock them and try to trigger them. I mean, I'm a caring person, but I also have no problem hurting somebody's feelings or, kind of catching them off guard a little bit. I'll kind of throw a little thing in there that's like, whoa, what is he doing here? And just kind of see how they react. But people get used to it. My friends know how I am. And, it's just, you have more freedom to be much more, even here on this podcast, like I can talk more nuanced about a lot of my opinions and my personality. And that's kind of how I am. I'll still throw some trollish lines out sometime, but on TikTok, it's just a 15-second video. And I'm just trying to make one provocative point that conveys something that there's a reason that I'm trying to say it or stir that specific point up. And then people take that and they're like, if you say this, you must mean this. And they just start filling it up with a bunch of things I never said. I don't mean, they don't even know if I believe. And then I just have fun with it.
I do the similar thing as you, where in real life, especially because I'm pretty eccentric, I guess, some people could say like I'm weird because I say whatever the fuck I want to say.
That's awesome. Weird is good.
No, it's fucking fantastic. It's done a lot for me. And what I try to do is I exaggerate the strangeness to see if they can handle it. Like I'll say some super outlandish stuff, right? I'll just get really comfortable. And then if they laugh, they're cool. And I know I can be friends with them. If they don't, and they look at me like, why did you do that? Like, what do you mean? Then I know I'm not going to waste my time.
Yeah. And I think that's a great philosophy for a lot of people. One, lean into your weirdness and your quirks. And also, don't try to make everybody like you. Everybody is never going to like you anyways. Your job is to find your tribe, the people who do like you, who resonate with you. So it's good to kind of approach people as, you know, kind of pushing them off and letting them come to you. I think it's a good philosophy. And you end up forming much tighter friend groups.
Absolutely. Being as polarizing as possible.
Because, yeah, polarizing is good, especially on social media. Love me or hate me, you know who I am on TikTok and you have an opinion. A lot of people do. So that, to me, is my sweet spot. There's a lot of people who are just liked, but they're only liked by their tribe, and everybody else just ignores them or doesn't know who they are or doesn't pay attention. And attention is the currency on social media or TikTok or the internet in general. And my following might be big and I have all this effect, but there's a lot more people that don't follow me that still know who I am and engage with my content. So I consider them fans too. They're just hater fans, you know, but they're still watching me. They're still paying attention. They're still part of my game. And I just think that allows me to double my audience in a way.
Yeah. Cause I feel like the worst thing for like being on the internet and as being a creator is having people that are indifferent about you.
Yes.
Cause the hate, you can actually flip that. Like, you know, Ty Lopez, like here in my garage with my Lamborghini,
Yeah.
like that guy, when that came out, everybody trolled him. Everybody was like, who is this fucking idiot? And I actually worked for him too for like a year.
Oh, cool.
I watched him over time change people's minds because he kept doing the same shit and didn't get affected and wasn't like, oh, you guys, you know, pulling back and getting scared.
Yeah.
And he won them over. I can't tell you how many, like hundreds, maybe thousands of comments on his YouTubes and other places saying like, you know, I used to hate you, but I like you and you're saying some real shit. And I see what's really going on.
Yeah, people respect that, man. It's like they don't like people who back down, even with like the woke culture. When it's super PC and somebody says something that is deemed insensitive or offensive or racist or sexist or whatever it is that they want to throw at them, most people make the mistake of apologizing and backing down as if that's going to fix the problem. But all that is showing weakness, and people are just going to rip you apart even more. They know they can come for you. They can control you. You're never going to be free to say anything ever again, because anybody can just tell you to apologize and tear you down, and they know you're going to back down. When you don't, and that's what I do. I had it, you know, the huge backlash originally from, you know, my R word joke. I don't know if you want to say that on here. And people just expected me to apologize and all this. I was like, no, I'm going to double down and triple down and quadruple down. And people just started respecting it over the course of the day and several days. And I started getting all these mentions and duets saying, dude, Nick is handling this so well. And I'm actually like earning respect for him, because people respect that. They don't want to admit it, but they do.
Yeah, it's kind of like shit tests when you're dating a girl, right? Like they want to see if you're a weak beta male, if you're going to go back on your opinion. Like if you say, I like steak, and then she's like, oh, I mean, red meat's not good for you. And then you all of a sudden you're like, well, yeah, I know. I try not to eat too much of it because it's like, it'll fuck your intestines up or something. She knows right there. You're a fucking pussy.
Exactly.
She's got you right away.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I love that type of philosophy. I kind of know that too, the shit testing and all of that. So you do a lot of content about that stuff too, right? I've seen.
Yeah, I have a whole lot of stuff like that. Yeah.
Oh, no, and a lot of people on TikTok hate that too. Like women will tear you down if you say anything about like, this is how women work and these are tactics for how to talk to and approach women. And it's hilarious because it's so true. And women complain about like men being betas and being weak men and can't please them and don't fulfill them all the time, especially on TikTok. And then you give men tips on how to be more strong and be an alpha. And people are like, how dare you? You're manipulating women, or you're treating women like objects, or whatever it is. It's so funny.
Yeah. And the thing that blew me up on TikTok was because I made a series called Confessions of a Former Fuckboy. So I was telling everybody how I would manipulate women, right? And I was super honest about it. And it was so polarizing and controversial. It got like the series had millions and millions of views. And here's the funny thing. The interesting thing about that is there was so many girls saying like, this is fucked up, this is horrible. And other girls saying like, I appreciate this. And then the weird thing that happened was they'd join my live streams and like hundreds of them would say, you're so attractive, you're this and that, right? Isn't it interesting?
Yeah. I mean, because a lot of women won't admit it, but they love it too. And then they're watching.
Yeah, and that's part of what you were saying about standing your ground and being like, hey, this is me, this is what it is. I'm not saying it was right, but
Yeah.
that's what I did when I was in college. Like, that's just who the fuck I am. And I'm never gonna regret anything I've done, because why?
Yeah. It is who you are. And people need to, that's the other thing with this whole cancel culture and shit. People don't let people make mistakes and grow and learn. And, you know, they're going to dig up things from your past anyways. And you can never live up to the standards of tomorrow, you know, because you don't know what the standards of tomorrow are going to be. And what you're doing today is perfectly fine. And what you did 10 years ago was fine for the time. And then they expect you to completely apologize. And you shouldn't. Nobody should do that. People should stop apologizing and just say, yeah, I know I stand by what I said. I wanted to say that today, but whatever, get over it. Just don't back down.
Do you know who Patrice O'Neal is, the comedian?
Yeah.
Patrice O'Neal, you know, rest in peace. But I like to listen to some of his recordings, right? And he was talking about how the reason why these guys also get canceled is because when they say something, they don't know why they said it. Like, they may say it purely just for the attention. Like for yourself, you said you think of every angle, so you know why you did it. So that's where you can stand your ground. But if you don't know why you fucking did it, and you don't have that strong reason, it's easier to be like, oh fuck, what the fuck, right?
Yeah, that's kind of true too. Yeah, because people will say some pretty dumb things, and they just kind of blurted it out. And then it's hard to stand on your principles if you just were kind of saying some shit. But when you're purposefully saying shit to, like, I'm trying to piss people off specifically, you kind of already know what you're stepping into.
So what do you do, man? Like, what's your thing?
I mean, this kind of is my thing now. Right now, I'm trying to build podcasts. I have 2 podcasts going. My Quality Time with Nick and Aaron, that's me and my girlfriend. We do kind of like a bi-weekly podcast, and it's our relationship, and it's kind of life shit, and it's also a lot of my TikTok drama, and I'm really trying to build that up. And then I started my Nick Foster YouTube channel, but the podcast on it is called Nick Foster and Friends, and I'm doing interviews just like this with other big TikTokers. In fact, you should come be on it. You know, we'll have this conversation, and then after some time goes, when we got some new topics, we'll get you on too.
Hell yeah.
But that's what I'm doing. And I'm really focusing on the TikTok. I'm just trying to build an audience so I can use that audience moving forward to boost all of my content, get some influence in culture. That's what I really want to do. I'd love to do stand-up comedy again, but that's such up in the air with the coronavirus right now. So I'm just I think I can do great things just building an audience on the internet. And then before that, I was doing like app development. A lot of people don't know I'm like a computer programmer too. And I've done several like iPhone apps over the years. And that's I've been self-employed pretty much since 2008, but those were never super successful because I didn't have an audience. I had no way to really drive traffic. And a couple of years ago, I was like, I need to stop focusing on this, and I need to focus on building an audience on the internet. So that's all I've been focused on for the last couple of years. And it's finally happening.
Yeah, that's like the long game. That's so interesting, because it would be easy for people to be like, just look at your content and be like, he's a dummy. Right?
Which
and all of a sudden, I make apps.
Yeah, well, yeah. And a lot of people don't even know that. I've even been thinking about, starting another TikTok where I actually get back into app development and kind of show people, do some content specifically around that and just give people a different side of it. But also, I don't know. I think there's a lot. I did not expect I was going to grow this fast on TikTok. And now that I have this audience, I just think there's probably a lot of opportunities if I just keep going with this. So right now I'm just putting out as much content as I can and having fun with it.
Yeah. So like in real life with stand-up, I say whatever the fuck I want for the most part. Like, I'm not really afraid. But with the internet stuff, I can hesitate because I'm so new to this. And then when I started seeing your stuff and I was like, I know what's going on here.
Yeah.
There was times where I was like, oh fuck, I don't know if I want to post this, and I would literally think of you.
That's awesome, dude.
Yeah, and I'd be like, dude, what are you fucking afraid of? Post it.
Yeah, I agree, man. I get these messages all the time. I get them from a lot of other content creators saying you've inspired me to kind of keep pushing and trolling a little bit more because they're always hesitant too. Some big, some small, and I'm hearing this a lot. And that's also what I want to do is kind of show, guys, you don't have to be this PC person and just bow down to the cancel culture. We just need more strong voices of people who can stand up and push back against this. The problem is a lot of people have real jobs or go to school or are in a certain, situation where they can't afford to be canceled. But if you're a comedian or you're just an internet content creator, or you're self-employed and you don't have to worry about that and you have strong opinions, stand up and use them. And we need to band together and just keep pushing back and saying, no, jokes are fine. Saying ridiculous things are fine. It's not the end of the world. Get over it. And people just need to see that more.
Yeah, I've given up on real jobs. Like I was already like, I started pursuing my dreams about less than 2 years ago. And then anytime I'm just kind of like, oh man, this is kind of stressful. Like I got to content create and all this stuff. And then I'm like, well, you got no choice because I put out so much shit on the internet. I cannot do a regular job ever again.
I get that. I had so many of those comments when I first got on TikTok, like, good luck getting a job in 10 years. First off, I'm 35. I've been self-employed since 2008. I'm not like a high school kid who's worried, you know, I'm set in my ways, but also all my fucking shit's out there. There was no hope for that anyways. Once you've already like thrown it all out there, what are people going to cancel me for? They're going to dig up something 10 years from now. Like Nick said this crazy thing. He said those crazy things since the day he got on the internet. Everything he's ever put out has been this. It's kind of hard to hold me accountable at that point. That's just,
then it's just like, oh, it's just Nick. It's going to be like that, like kind of like a family thing. Oh, that's just Nick. Don't worry about him.
That's exactly the reaction I get from a lot of my friends. And I've been on other social media apps where I've trolled my way into like a personality on the app. They were just much smaller apps, nowhere near to the level of TikTok. And I was kind of that person on the app where like they would ban people for saying kind of similar things that I would. But when I would do it, people on the app would be like, yeah, but that's Nick. We know Nick. I mean, he's not, he doesn't mean it, but these people, they're assholes. And it's just, there's always kind of that reaction that I get, but it comes over time. People have to see it over the course of a lot of, you know, different angles that I troll on.
So there's big content creators that have private message you saying, you know, thank you for what you do. It inspires me. And have any of them admitted that they're afraid to be known for like being friends with you or knowing you? They're like, oh, I don't know how it's going to affect me and my thing.
Don't know if there's big ones that I've had that from like smaller people being like, hey, Nick, I want to let you know I'm a fan of yours, but I get in trouble or my friends are giving me shit for supporting you or whatever. And I don't know if that's serious or they're just saying that to kind of get attention from me or whatever. I don't know. But there are a lot of big creators who follow me who don't publicize that they follow me. And they're always sending me messages like, I love you, bro. But their content is also very, you know, friendly and positive. And I don't know that they publicize that they follow me.
Yeah, because before we got on my podcast, I was like, I thought, you know, because I think of every angle too, right? I was like, what would happen if I brought Mr. Nick Foster on? Well, before that, I was like, I follow him on TikTok. What would happen if people saw? And then I was like, okay, it's not a big deal. And then I was like, what would happen if I shoot a podcast with him and then I post all these clips? And I was like, well, good. Because I'm a fucking comic, man. I hate PC culture so much. I hate being fake. I told myself when I started stand-up and everything, I would rather die on my feet like a man than on my knees like a bitch. And that is how I live my life with things that I say and even with the social media. Because I know big content creators that aren't themselves and they are torn. They have a huge following and they're like, they don't even know who the fuck they are. And they're stressed out every second. Like we'll have a conversation in person. And then every few seconds, they're literally like, oh, but like, I didn't mean it like that, by the way. Like, are you okay? Like every fucking second, that's what happens when you fucking raise the white flag, right? Yeah.
And you try to build your brand around being this perfectly appropriate person in all contexts. And then you're probably especially if you're huge, like I'm already getting recognized everywhere I go. And my audience is big, but it's nowhere near as big as, you know, somebody who's got 1 million, 2 million, 5 million people. And if you have that kind of brand where you can't say anything ridiculous, you must be looking over your shoulder all the time. Like somebody's going to film me, somebody's going to record me saying anything crazy. Like you can't get drunk and just like have open conversations at the bar. Fuck all that. That's why I'd rather just throw it out there. It's very authentic. Nothing I say in public is going to be any more shocking than what I say online anyway. You know, it's just much more free in that way.
You ever get worried that people will get too used to you and then they're just like,
Kind of. I mean, that's going to happen too. It'll morph. It's already kind of starting to morph where in fact, I got mentioned in a video right before I went on here. It was pretty interesting. I get a lot of these this week because I trolled the American flag thing. And a lot of people who hated me for the last 8 months are now posting things like, you know, I kind of respect Nick now, or I think he's actually, I get it. He's just trolling. I thought he was actually like a terrible person, but he's not like doing this for political reasons. He's just like kind of pissing everybody off, and they're starting to get it. And one guy was just like, you know, I want to let you know, Nick, if you're watching this, I hated you at first. I was like, fuck that guy. And then I realized you don't even give a shit. Why should I give a shit? Just keep doing what you're doing, man. Have a good day. And it's like they're gonna realize it over time, and then they are gonna be less prone to being triggered. And that is where I'm gonna have to adapt and be like, you know, and I kind of see that sometimes where I control and I'll get all these haters coming at me, and that really works to boost me in the algorithm. And then I'll troll that on that topic a little bit more, and then people are like, I know what you're doing. I'm not gonna fall for your trap. And you know, and then I'm like, damn. And even my own fans will be like, commenting, man, I really miss when all the snowflakes were here, because now all my comments are just like, you're a king, we love you, you're awesome. And I'm like, thanks, but what do I do with that? I need the haters. I use the haters as fuel for my content. And I just, you know, so I have to figure it out.
Dude, I love the fact that you fucking said that, because I used to get thousands of hate comments, you know, whether they're racist or whether that you're a woman hater and whatever the fuck it is.
No.
And I think you commented on my video where I said, no, that was a different video, but I made a video talking about where are my haters. And then people in my comments were like, they got used to you or they're afraid of you because they know you'll roast them back and they know you don't get affected.
Yeah.
So you're right.
Yeah.
I was thinking, what if I just made a video pretending like, why'd you guys say that? And then they come at me and I'm like, just kidding, I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, that's the trolling right there. You have to always just be moving and misdirecting and changing. And that's kind of what I did this week. It's like, okay, I'm going to take this different angle to kind of switch it up on people. And it just opened up a new door of like, okay, now I control this. And I'm just going to keep doing that forever.
What kind of conversations do you have with your girlfriend about this stuff? Because she must really get like entertained and like, I'm curious, man. Like how is it, dude?
Well, one, we have a whole podcast where we talk a lot about this. So guys, subscribe to Quality Time with Nick and Aaron. The link is in my link tree, or you can search it on YouTube. We got a video, Spotify, iTunes, all that. But we talk a lot about the drama because I started the podcast with her kind of right when I got on TikTok. So you can actually kind of listen to my progression over like when I didn't even have 10,000 followers to like the next week I had 50,000. Then it was like, oh my God, I'm at 100. And then it got crazy. And we talk about a lot of the stuff. But she is cool. She totally understands. And she is not she's not one of those girls that's all focused on getting attention on social media. She doesn't give a shit about social media. She doesn't have a TikTok. She's not trying to put herself out there. So to her, she gets what I'm doing and she supports what I'm doing, but it doesn't really affect her at all. So I kind of vent to her and she gives me some advice and, you know, she keeps me kind of grounded, but she's not really invested in any of it. She's not worried about the backlash on her. And I give her mad props because she gets a lot of vicious messages when I do something. And she just takes it in stride. She's just like, okay, I'm going to lock my profile back down. Who are these people? Wow, I feel so sad for them. And then we kind of talk about it and we laugh about it, but she's not really invested in any of this. She's just kind of doing her own thing.
Yeah, dude, these people, man, everybody's so fucking lost. They don't know who the fuck they are. They don't have a mission. They have no purpose. So it's all about, how can I hate? How can I fucking hate?
And a lot of people will accuse me of that. Like the amount of people who think I'm the hater, and I know I'm provocative, of course, I have no doubt, but I'm not going on other people's posts and saying, you're a piece of shit, kill yourself, that sucks. I don't do that. I'm just putting out my own content about broader topics or in response to somebody who is saying something about me. But these people who go out of their way to DM me, kill yourself, I hope your girlfriend gets raped so you know how it feels. Like they'll go to that personal level. Dude, tons of this. And it's like, you guys think I'm the bully? I wake up to thousands of these messages. Imagine that person getting thousands of those messages, how quickly they would break and crumble and fall into, you know, depression or whatever it is. Meanwhile, they're sending this out to me all the time while accusing me of being the bully. And it's like, you guys have no self-awareness. And it's not just me. Other big creators deal with this all the time, where people don't realize their little message of like, KYS, kill yourself or whatever. That's just their message. And they're like, oh, you can just ignore that. But you get thousands of those messages. It adds up. You got to be mentally strong. And none of them affect me because I don't give a shit. And I think it's all funny. But just hearing them rationalize how I'm the bully and they're not the bullies, it's hilarious.
It's a lot of hypocrites. And the funny thing about these comments is this, for me, racism, or just anything really extreme, like you piece of shit, blah, blah, doesn't bother me. But recently I got this one comment.
Oh, you're going to put it out there and everybody's going to know.
Yeah, I know, right? They're like, we're going to use it against him. Well, you know what? It's not going to fucking work anymore because I adapted, bitches. Okay, so here's the thing. This fucking, I don't know who the fuck this person is, but they said, I'm unsubscribing. This TikTok channel has become a pickup channel.
That's what bothered you?
Yeah, it's fucking stupid, right? Out of anything, instead of like chink or like small eye, small pee.
It was a valid criticism.
Yeah, I was like, yo, this is kind of real.
Yeah.
Like, fuck. And you know what? They're not wrong. I kind of like stopped doing comedy and got a little too deep into just like, oh, you gotta do this, that. But it affected me so fucking much. It's so stupid.
Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, maybe that is true. People do take much more seriously the thing. When somebody just says something ridiculous, it's like, okay, you're just throwing a low hanging insult at me. It's hard to take it personally. But when somebody is making some criticism that is very like specific to you, you're like, God damn it. I guess you're right. That sucks.
It actually made me think, and I was like, you know what? Yeah, let's focus a little bit more on what I'm really here for.
Well, I mean, does the pickup stuff do better for you than the comedy stuff, or
the dating stuff? It does well, but what I noticed is when I did it, it got way more views, but then they got used to it because I kept doing it, and now that I went back to like relatable comedy based off of like specific cultures and stuff like that, those are the ones that's like getting built up again. So it's interesting to see that, like you were saying, you have to change things up.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Have you heard of Russell Hartley on TikTok?
Russell Hartley? No.
He's a big creator about my size. We've talked. He's dealing with a lot of controversy because he's the guy in the mirror. You must have seen him. He's the guy who's always in the mirror talking about how to get women and like.
Wait, with the suits?
With the suit.
Oh, yeah. I've seen his stuff with Russell Hartley.
Oh, he deals with so much shit doing his content. And I think it's solid content. And he's given valid advice. And he knows what he's talking about. But he's in that pickup type community and, you know, how to be a man and all of that. And women just destroy him. But also, they're watching everything he does. But he's been like, big YouTubers are doing exposés on him, and he's had to turn his comments off multiple times. And he often hits me up asking like, you know, different advice or different angles. And he's leaning into it and kind of spin it in his favor. And I give him mad props, but he's receiving huge backlash for being in that same type of content. So, you know, definitely check him out and see what he's dealing with, because it's probably very similar to what you have, just on a much bigger scale, because he's like the face for misogyny or something, even though he loves women and is just trying to give good advice.
You know what it is, man? I was talking to one of my my buddies who's a pickup coach. He's Asian. And he was on my podcast recently, and he was saying that you can't really cancel an Asian because nobody, like, the sad fact of the matter is a lot of people don't really take us that, holy shit. That seriously? So as an Asian stand-up comic, I can kind of say more shit and get away with it versus like if it's a white dude, they're looking to get offended for anything. No. Anything. I guarantee if I said the same shit that Russell Hartley said, same exact get up, mirror, people wouldn't be doing the exposés and all that shit.
You're probably exactly right. And they say we have white privilege.
Asian privilege.
No, you're right, man. It's like, I know, I understand the whole white privilege narrative, but it's tough to be like a strong, opinionated white guy these days, because you have to be ready to fight mobs at every angle. And I'm built for it, and I'm not complaining and pretending a victim, because I'm not. But there are a lot of white guys who have to just sit down and shut up because they don't have the balls to say a lot of the things I say, and it's unfortunate.
When did you feel like? Get away. Yeah. So when did you feel like it got extra bad for like white dudes?
Oh man. I mean, it's kind of, I was watching this happen in culture it was right around 2012 when woke culture really started taking over. And I recognized it because my own friends were starting to change and becoming very super woke liberal. And you could tell it was the people they were hanging out with were kind of forcing them. And And it just started getting worse and worse and worse all the way up to about 2016 when Donald Trump, and then it's just like, now it's off the rails. But I think it's starting to swing back the other way because people are waking up to it. Modern, every average person in culture, like just regular people at home who aren't really in tune with everything that's going on, they're realizing this stuff too. So people are kind of like starting to stand up against it. Where in 2012, it was like this new way of thinking and super, like all these new words were popping up, trigger warnings and microaggressions and all of this. And I don't know what the reason was. I think some of it, it was so interesting because when Obama took office in 2008, a lot of us had the opinion of like, this is a healing moment for America and it's progression for America and race relations are going to get much better. That's what I thought. Not like, oh, we voted him in, racism's dead, but I just thought it was a step in the right direction and things were going to get better. And over the course of his presidency, they got much more divided, which I did not expect. So I'm wondering, like, does that have anything to do with it? But I think really it was social media. Social media kind of took off around the beginning of Obama's presidency, and it was hitting its mainstream, 2012. And that's just when all these different people and all these different perspectives were kind of thrown into this common discussion area, this town square. And that's where we start getting all these just extreme perspectives, which are valid. And I understand we need to see different perspectives that we were never, accustomed to from mainstream media before social media. But then it just got off the rails that every little individual quirk has to be valued and has to be understood and you have to be sensitive around and change your language around. And, it's like at a certain point, yes, your perspective's valid, but also toughen up. We're all in this together. People still can be free to tell jokes and be a little ridiculous and, just not tiptoe around everything. But I don't know. I don't know what the change was, but it was right around that time because I recognized it with my own friends. And then, of course, up to the 2016 election. And there was a lot of things about the politics, and I understand Donald Trump's a very divisive figure, and I get all that, but I lost a lot of friends from that, like people who were great friends who would invite me over to dinner, who would let me play with their kids. We would talk politics all the time, even going up to the election. And these are adults. These aren't children. Talking politics, arguing politics. And as soon as Trump took office, they just wrote me out of their life. Like, you are an evil person. You are part of the problem. You are this. And it was like, bro, we were friends 3 months ago. Like, what just happened? So I don't know. It just got progressively worse from like 2012 to 2016.
And the friends that cut you out, was it like all backgrounds?
What do you mean backgrounds?
Like race.
Yeah, I mean, I have a pretty diverse friend group. Yeah, no, there was white guys, there was black guys. I mean, two specifically that I can think of. Totally, one was like an older white guy who's married and has kids, and the other was like a close black friend who's single and kind of like a college student, and a lot in between. Even a roommate of mine who was like a girl. I lived with two girls at the time, and it's like we would argue about everything all the time, and she understood me. But then the political change, it was just like, no, defriend, cut you out. So I think it kind of spanned everything. And if I really went through my friend list, I'd probably find a lot more that I just kind of, I move on and get over it.
But, I think the good thing that came from that, though, as much as it does suck, is that it lets you know who the real ones are. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I even see that even on a small scale of just my fan group on TikTok when I did the flag thing and I lost my following was at about 580 and I'm down to about 570 now, but I was gaining a couple thousand followers a day on average. So I probably lost more than 10K. I probably lost closer to 20,000 people just from that. And it's like, what were you following me for, bro? One thing you don't like and you're just like, I can't, abandon ship. And it lets you know like, oh, you weren't a real fan. You just thought I was like an echo chamber for your politics or your ideas, or I was only going to like mock the left or whatever. And that's not what I'm about. So it's kind of good to weed people out every now and again.
Yeah, because before you did the flag thing, I was like, I'd watch your stuff, and then I it's fun to just like imagine what somebody's like. So I was like, maybe he's like slightly conservative or something. Who knows? Like and then you did the flag thing, and I was like, oh, this dude is just fucking with everybody. Yes. This dude's like a equal opportunist right here.
Exactly. And I had to make a video even explaining, like, guys, I'm an equal opportunity offender. I'm not a right-wing echo chamber. I'm not a hate page against the left. I'm here to trigger snowflakes of all kinds. That's what I'm about. And people don't realize, because my audience was smaller, when I first got on TikTok, I did the flag thing before. I did it like 6 months ago, and I had some hate. but it was much smaller. Maybe I was under 100,000. So a lot of people don't even know. And a lot of people, when I did it again, because it was much bigger this time, were in the comments like, only the OG fans remember you did this before. And I'm like, yeah, this is the same point I made the last time. But I also was trolling like religious things because I'm very anti-religious. And a lot of people think I'm this like pro-life Christian conservative right-wing guy. It's like I'm pro-choice, anti-religion, pro-drugs, pro-equality. A lot of I'm just not what they think. And I would troll like religious people all the time, and then people forgot all about that, and they come out and they freak out when I'm trolling the left, saying all you do is make fun of us. Why don't you make fun of the other side? It's like, I do. You just don't watch those videos. They're watching. I'm getting pissed off, but I gotta start doing that more. So I'm kind of switching it up and going the other way now.
This is how I know you also have a really like diehard fans. I see a lot of accounts on TikTok with your profile picture, and it's super fucking funny. And they're like, I'm Nick Foster.
Dude, there's so many. I'm Nick Foster's granddad. I'm Nick Foster's son. Nick Foster has spoken. Nick Foster's second cousin. Whatever. It's like I got them all. Tons of them. Yeah, dude. Which I think is good. It's flattering, first off, but I also think that's going to help me maybe get verified, because at a certain point, I think verification is often, when you have a lot of fake accounts out there and people are kind of pretending to be you, that's like a big reason why they might verify. So keep doing it, guys. Hopefully that'll help me get that check mark.
Yeah, don't stop. It's like the Eminem video, the real Slim Shady, please stand up. That type of shit.
No, but one of them, the Nick Foster Jokes Has Spoken, shout out to you. He changed his name now because I'm not Nick Foster Jokes anymore, but he's got like 12,000 followers just from commenting Nick Foster Jokes Has Spoken on, and he's diehard. He literally, he or she, I don't know who it is, but everywhere that I am, they know I'm there, and they're on there saying Nick Foster Jokes was here or has spoken. And it's just like, people are like, how do you find everything Nick does? He just follows me everywhere. I give him props, man. That's dedication.
That's kind of like the Denelage. How do you say his name? Denelage?
Yeah, nobody knows. I call him Donelage or Denelage.
Yeah. Because you've done some like videos with him, right? Like one.
Well, I made a lot of videos about his situation. I haven't like collabed with him, but he follows me, and I think he's even following me on his new account. And I'm sure I'll have him on my podcast or something.
So he got fucking banned for making just faces, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, that's what his content was, and that's why we all defend him, because his content was fine, and we don't find any problem with it. Regardless, a lot of people like to fill up what he think, from a facial expression. Oh, you changed from a smile to a frown or a straight face. That means you hate whoever you're duetting. It's the same problem I deal with. People will fill it up with whatever they think it means. But on the surface, his content was fine, and he doesn't even talk. He's just making faces. The problem is that so many of his followers would flood whoever's page he was duetting, and they send hateful messages and all kinds of bullying things. And this is a problem I deal with. This is a problem Papa Gut has dealt with, if you know him. And a lot of creators deal with this, where we can't really control hundreds of thousands or millions of people. And there's always going to be a small percentage of your audience who are real assholes, real shitheads, real evil people. And we're trying to learn how to do it, but people blamed him and held him accountable when he has 2 million followers because somebody he duets gets, 10, 50, I don't know, number of hate messages, which is a lot, but it's a tiny, 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 tiny fraction of what his following is, and they hold him accountable. And I think TikTok was just making an example of him. Plus, the New York Times came out with an article about him and the situation. And I think TikTok was just like, we don't want this bad press. And they just started banning him everywhere.
Oh, yeah. Especially now with like what's going to happen with TikTok type stuff, right?
Yeah. They're probably trying to make it more appealing. This is just bad press. They don't want it affecting anything, which, they got their reasons. I understand. But it's like he set up a new account. He was going to change his content. He set up a new account. They banned that. A new account. They banned that. He set up 5 accounts and they banned them all. And it's like, damn, you guys are out for this guy. But he also set up a 6th account now. He's Nicholas the Dude, or I shouldn't say that. Nobody knows his real identity, but clearly it's pretty obvious. And he's pretending to be somebody else. He put like a little Band-Aid mustache on himself, and he's like, hi, guys, I'm Nicholas. Nothing to see here. And he's almost got, I think he's over 1 million followers already. So these types of things, they just make you bigger. The more they try to cancel somebody, the audience is going to fight back and be like, no, we're supporting this person. And that's kind of what happened with me too. I just bounced right back.
it's kind of like the YouTubers like Logan Paul too, right? Like he's had so much controversy and a lot of people hating on him. And it actually grew because you talk about it enough. Like why else did Trump get into office? I think it's because so many people are like, fuck this guy, fuck him, fuck him. It's so much free marketing. Get on everybody's minds. Yeah.
And Trump did the same thing we were talking about earlier, where he didn't back down. He never backed down and apologized. He only doubled down. When he was on the debate stage, that's when he won me over. Was he was on that debate stage with all the Republicans. There was like 15 Republicans, and that's one reason I'm not a Republican. I didn't want any of them to win, so I supported Trump in the primaries just because he was going to destroy the Republican Party. But when Megyn Kelly gave him that question, was like, "You've called women fat slobs, whores, all of these terrible things." He was just, any other politician would have had to back down, apologize, figure out a way to spin that. And Donald Trump just goes, "Only Rosie O'Donnell." He didn't apologize. He doubled down. He told a joke, which was a hilarious comeback, and the whole crowd laughs. And I was like, one, mad respect for you, Donald Trump. And two, you're going to win this fucking thing because you just got the whole crowd laughing at the same thing that would have destroyed any other politician. And that type of thing makes people respect you.
And emotion is what causes, if you can spike somebody's emotion, they will remember you.
Yes. It is free. All the outrage. I mean, and that's the same tactic I use. That's why I think it's great, is the controversy. Attention is currency. Attention is what you need.
Absolutely.
And I'm going to get attention, whether it's positive or negative. It's fine. It's all the same to me.
Yeah. And you know what? Here's what I'll think of when I would do stand-up, right? From time to time, whenever Trump stuff would pop up, I would try to channel. By the way, guys, I don't prescribe to any political side. Just letting you know.
Don't cancel him, guys. Cancel me. I admitted to voting for Trump. Come cancel me. Try your best.
You can't cancel me. I'm Asian. No, but
like, well, I identify as black, so be careful, guys.
Oh fuck. So then the thing that makes stand-up work, the thing that makes you stand out, is extreme vulnerability, authenticity, and unapologetically being you. And literally that is what Trump does, which is why this is also why I believe he won. Not really so much because of his politics and all that stuff. I think it's just because people are so tired of fake shit. People are tired of people being afraid, and it ties in with like the pendulum shifting from PC culture to, let's go back to what the fuck it was like in the 90s or the 2000s, right?
Yeah, remember the shows and all the stuff in 2000s where it was all kinds of edgy comedy? And maybe that's where I formed a lot of my comedic sensibilities, was like the early 2000s, when you had like the Man Show, and then like Daniel Tosh was taken in like 2010, and like that type of thing. It was all like, I loved that time. Sarah Silverman used to be, a very offensive type of comedian, and now she's all super woke and judges everybody else. And it's like, you made your whole career off this, and now you're judging everybody for doing it. Yeah, and that was a good time when everybody was making jokes.
Even the Chappelle Show. I bet you the Chappelle Show would have got fucked today.
Oh yeah, for sure. So many things. I mean, there's so many things that just wouldn't work today. And from some people's perspective, they say that's good. Society needs to move forward. But I don't think that's a better way for society goes. I think that actually makes us much more angry, much more divided, much less fun, much less entertained. I mean, there's more room at the table for other voices to come and give their perspectives. It doesn't all have to be, the white perspective, which is what I think a lot of woke culture pushes back against. And that's fine. But there's so many available options to where you can put your stuff out there. You don't need a mainstream TV show. You don't need Hollywood to put you on. All these voices are coming to the table, but they're just all voices telling you, don't say that, don't do that, that's bad. And that's where I fight back. It's just that. It's the same type of shit that I hated about the Republican Party back in the day with the Bush generation, was the moral Christian conservatives who try to tell you this music's bad, video games will corrupt the youth, and all of that, drugs are bad, telling us what is right and wrong. And I say, fuck you to that. And now it's the other side telling me the same thing. You're evil if you say that or if you do that. And I'm saying, fuck you to you too. Don't tell me what to say and do. And that's where I stand.
It's like having two parents that just are trying to tell you what to do at all times, your mom and your dad. Like, Nick, do this, Nick, do that.
And you resent your parents when they do that. That's what happens.
And you rebel.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dude, you know what's missing too nowadays? We're missing the ability to have a conversation like this.
Yeah.
Right. There's a black dude. I forgot his name, but he's really famous for going to like different KKK people, like leaders,
Oh yeah,
and
I know this
talking to them,
guy.
and then
And it wins them
he,
over.
yeah, he just gets to know them, have a regular conversation. And a lot of these high level KKK members end up leaving because they're like, I just can't. Like,
Yeah.
I can't judge black people anymore. Like, I know this one black gentleman who did not judge me for my beliefs, for my racism, and he genuinely cares about me and my family and just listens to my beliefs. How the fuck can I hate? I can't hate this man?
Yeah, that's what it is. A lot of people just need to meet somebody, and see that. And I think that's the same thing that goes on with like how now it's very accepting to have gay marriage and LGBT people, as much as they still pretend like they're victims. It's like we have pride parades in every city. People are celebrating you. We have rainbow flags flying. Nobody cares. We've all accepted you. But I understand that it was much harder 20 years ago for sure. And it took being seen more. It took doing parades to put yourself out there. It took television shows that went mainstream like Will and Grace to be like, look, this is what being gay is about. It's not what you think it is. And then people are like, oh, well, I like that. I like those people. That's cool. And that's all it is we just need more people to talk and experience, different perspectives. And I'm all open to that. And I think it's a great thing. It's just, it crosses over when it becomes you telling me I'm the problem. I'm wrong. I shouldn't do this. I'm like, okay, you're not going to silence me to have your voice. I'm going to have my voice still too.
Yeah. And the fact that it's the coronavirus and we can't just normally be around people, even if you're not talking to them, but just being around them when you go out in public, it does something positive. And even I found myself when I was like locked up for weeks at a time. And then when I go out to the market, and it was like this huge thing about like Karens and like white people. Like I have a lot of white friends, I have a mixed group of friends, but that's all I had. And I wasn't socializing. And I'd look at like a white person and I'd be like, oh, what's going to happen right now? Like that. Right. And I was like, whoa, hold on a minute. Why the fuck am I thinking this? And I was like, yo, that is the power of the lack of socializing and consuming mass media, the bullshit. Right.
Yeah. The coronavirus, I think, is putting a lot of people under pressure. And then when you talk about something on TikTok, also the George Floyd thing happened in the middle of all this. So that just lit everything on fire. And then you have TikTok where like, it's a unique app where all these people are there's all this drama. It's because they're kind of throwing, you don't just go like on Instagram, you have your followers who see your stuff and that's pretty much it. On TikTok, you post something, it's going to be thrown to everybody who may like it, may not like it. And so it's kind of a melting pot of all kinds of different content. And people freak out and it creates a lot of chaos. And I think that's one of the beauties of it. But for a lot of people, it's like, it makes it seem like we're all just fighting and everybody hates each other.
Yeah. And it even made me want to start posting some more shit. Like I was like, what else issues, like social issues are there that I could like try to talk about, that I have to talk about like right now to join in? And I know people that, I'm not going to say their names, but I know people that post just that stuff. Yeah. And I can see over time their face as they post. It's like, they are miserable. And I know they feel stuck to it because they know that this is the type of content, like creating this, like always talking about social issues and like getting angry about it. That is what they feel stuck to. And because that's what gives them the views and it makes them, it's like they're dying on the inside. I see the misery, man. They don't look happy at all. They can't even smile. It's sad.
They become this fake character where they always have to be that. And then you're stuck in this box that you kind of built and now you're trapped. And it is important for all creators to kind of break out of that and not let yourself get tied down to this is all it is. And I have seen that too, where people will try to change their opinions and then they just get this huge backlash and everybody unfollows them. And it's like, oh, my bad. I'm going to go back to doing the thing you liked. And you're kind of screwed at that point. And then some issues you can't even escape, like the George Floyd thing. It's like that just kind of lit everything on fire when that thing happened, literally and figuratively. And there was no way to kind of just post funny content. Everybody on the app was talking about it. Everybody on the internet was talking about it. Everybody in the country was talking about it. And it was like, oh shit, I'm going to have to talk about this now. Because you can't just throw out some funny meme at that point. And I think we all kind of fell into that trap where I started posting a lot of political things and I was kind of ripping people apart. And then they thought I was a political page. And then I quickly was like, no, I'm going to abandon that. Sometimes I'll talk about politics to make a point or whatever, but I kind of want to talk about broader issues. And I talked to other people who kind of fell into that same trap right around the same time where we were all kind of forced to talk about the political climate. And then a lot of people got a lot of success off that. And then they were kind of stuck. And then that dies down and everybody goes back to having fun and they're still doing the same thing.
They can't change.
Yeah.
Do you notice a difference between like your ecosystem of how people interact with you and what they say from like Instagram to TikTok and YouTube? Is there like a difference, maybe like slight nuances?
Yeah, well, definitely the main one is the hate that I get on TikTok is fun. Like I don't have anybody blocked on TikTok, but I have a lot of people blocked on Instagram because on Instagram, they don't have as much filtering and censorship where you can't really say like kill yourself, for instance, on TikTok. That comment will just get censored. It won't show up. So they have to say like KYS or something and they'll get creative. They'll do little funny insults or whatever, but they have to be much more proper. Whereas on Instagram, they can just be like, I hope you get raped or, you know, some vicious thing, like really vulgar shit. And so you have that right there. It's almost more toxic over there, but also I don't care. I just kind of let the comments go. That's one interesting thing. So it's harder to deal with the hate. And then when you get flooded with that, you know, you kind of have to block people because, you know, I got family and friends on there who are going to be like, what are these people saying? And I don't want, I can handle it, but I don't want it affecting them when like I said, when I tag a friend or a family member and then they flood their page. So I just kind of block those people. That's a subtle difference. YouTube, I don't know. YouTube is interesting because there's the downvote system where, so I'll definitely have videos where I'll put up a podcast and I get my fans are all liking it and it's got a good ratio. And then I say something crazy, totally unrelated on TikTok and they just flood my YouTube and downvote my videos. So again, nothing I can do with that, but it's not reflective of the quality of video on YouTube. It's just, oh, Nick pissed somebody off on some community on TikTok. So they're getting revenge however they can by flooding my YouTube. And then Twitter is interesting. I used to never have clout on Twitter. I always wanted to troll because Twitter is kind of the best place to troll. And you can tweet Hillary Clinton if you want to. You know, everybody's on there, journalists, politicians, everything. But I never had any clout. I would put things out and, you know, 0 likes. Like I think the highest like tweet I ever had in 10 years was like 80 likes or something. And now it's like, now that I have this following, I can actually tweet and people are engaging and responding. So I'm doing things on there, but the risk of Twitter is, you know, they try to cancel you on TikTok. That never works. And I'm fine, but Twitter can really ruin your life. You know, they'll dox you. They'll send millions of people after you. You'll make the mainstream news, you know, and I haven't stepped fully into that, but I expect it's going to come at some point.
There's a guy who got called out in the stand-up community for, you know, doing some weird stuff to the females, right? They're trying to cancel him because through Twitter and stuff. And here's the thing. Then my friend who has that open mic, who's the host, got dragged into it because they're like, why did you let him at your open mic? And he's like, I didn't even know what the fuck is going on. And they were trying to cancel him. They're like, explain yourself just through Twitter. I was like, yo, this is the nicest dude ever. Like he has nothing to do with this dude who's doing weird shit.
Yeah. Right? And that's the real problem of cancel culture is when it drags other people. You know, I understand from a business's point of view, you're just like, look, I'm just trying to sell tickets to my show and sell at my restaurant and sell some drinks. I can't have this controversy, and then they'll just cut them off, you know, or I don't know if that's what happened there, but a lot of companies will just fire you. Like, I don't know what you did. I don't know if you're right or wrong, but there's 1,000 people tweeting about us on Twitter because of you. We're going to have to let you go. And that's how you control people.
Yeah. Why do you think Twitter has so much power? It's not, I mean, cause like these people are on every social platform, but what do you think is different about it?
I think it's just because it is so public and open and you can see, you know, it's not who you can search anything and there's all kinds of strangers can follow you. And it's just so super viral that if somebody throws something out provocative and they have 1 million followers or they're a blue checkmark person, they're going to get all their, you know, I kind of see this. If I just duet somebody on TikTok, I know my followers are going to flood that person's page and they're going to have to deal with it. On Twitter, it's that just much, much bigger and with much more influential people because they're the journalists and the politicians and especially like Hollywood type people. And that's where you see a lot of cancel culture thrive is in Hollywood because those people control whether you're in the movie or whether you're going to be on the TV show. Like who was that guy? that got hired on SNL. Did you hear about that?
Oh, yeah.
And then they just dug up, they go through everything you've ever said or done on the internet. I mean, this guy is a comedian. Of course he's going to have said some crazy things. And they dug up, he said some throwaway comment about Asian people. I don't know if it offended you so much that you wanted to ruin his life, but they dig that up and then they throw it at him, and then SNL fires him. And it's like, you know, as a comedian, that's probably something you work for your whole life to get that gig. And you're like so happy. And then because of something you said that was just a throwaway joke on a podcast, you know, it's just, people are just riffing and saying things, and comedians throw things out there. But then you're held to this standard that you didn't even know that you were being held to. And it all stems from Twitter. I don't know exactly why, but Twitter is, I think it is just because all the real connected, influential people are on Twitter.
You know, and when it comes to comedy too, comedians, we don't just go up trying to be like, let me hurt these fucking people's feelings. Now, a few might, but like 99% are just trying to see what's funny. And we just like fuck around and say shit. And the more you're around other comedians too, we understand each other because we don't take shit offensively. So you may like say something like that's like kind of like quote unquote like racist to Asians, but like I know where your heart is, and we're just roasting each other as dudes, especially guys. The art of roasting, that's going away, because like that's what makes a man. If you can handle roasting, that's like wrestling on the playground. It makes you tougher. You understand what the fuck's really going on, and you can handle the world, right? Because when I got roasted growing up, it hurt my feelings, and then finally I was like, I got no choice, so I have to know how to roast back and handle this, because I see how they're getting respect, the other dudes, and that's what led me to, you know, being able to handle tougher situations in life where you don't know somebody and they're actually trying to hurt your feelings, or they're trying to be mean and shit, right?
Yeah. And it's a content, you know, there's different contexts. The words itself can't be judged just based on the words. It's the context of how they're being used. You know, somebody might say something polite in a very like, you're fucking with me right now, I don't like you. And they might use the same words. It's like, oh, you're being very polite to me, or it's all the context of the situation. And that people are losing the understanding of context. They're just focused on, you use the wrong word when the intent is still positive or just to make somebody laugh. And then this generation is becoming super weak and sensitive because they're not exposed to this anymore. Everybody is being so hypersensitive. So they never develop the skills and the strength to combat it and learn how to self-deprecate, you know, which is a great tool. I was never this very vocal, strong opinion kid. I was picked on and bullied, and I learned very quick, like, oh, instead of like crying about it, if I just kind of laugh about it and don't let it affect me, people earn respect for me, and they kind of don't do it anymore. You take the power away from them. So I just kind of learned that right away. And I think kids need to learn that. And instead we're just protecting everybody, and they never build that strength. Yeah, it's the intent. But I also understand being sensitive around words, and I don't think we should, you know, I understand people are like, well, can we just make it not so normal to throw those words around? Because they are pretty not creative insults. I mean, it's like, if you're going to roast me, come up with something better. I mean, if you actually went to like a roast show and somebody was roasting like you, and someone just went up and was like, hey, you're a chink, the crowd's not going to laugh. They're going to be like, that's your joke. Come on, bro. Come up with something better. At least make it creative.
Yeah, it's not unique. I even made a video recently where I did a skit with my my white friend, and then he's like, man, she's such a chink. And I was like, what? He's like, chink, you know, chink in my armor?
Yeah.
Right? And I was like, oh, well, I went to the beach, and now I'm a redneck, you know, that type of stuff. And here's the funny thing. I had people in the comments saying like, you let him say that word? And it wasn't, and the person that said it, the comment, was a white person. And I was like, dog, you know that's a saying? You know the word chink? Like, it's making fun of it, right? And there's two definitions. The first definition is a small, the definition sounds kind of like racist too. It's funny. A small crack or slit emitting light. So that could be like, oh, and the second definition is a Chinese person.
Oh, God.
Yeah, it's not even a derogatory word for a Chinese person. Like when you look up, I looked up the N-word, and it said a derogatory term for a black or dark-skinned person. And I looked up, you know, chink, it says a Chinese person. And then when I looked up gook, it said a Korean or a person of Korean or Filipino descent. And I'm like, where's a derogatory term for?
Yeah, we need to boycott this. Get on it, white woke girls.
Yeah, Webster's. What's going on? Webster's dictionary.
Are tweeting Webster's and say, we're going to cancel you if you don't change this definition. That is kind of funny. That's interesting.
It's a very, very interesting thing.
Yeah. That
To
is
change,
funny with words when they're so hyper focused on words, and it's like the word is a different word used in a different context, and people just hear the word and they're like, "Oh my god!" And then you see it in a sentence, you're like, "Oh, that's not what it meant at all." There's a lot of
yeah,
words like that.
but they still paid attention to it. And again, guys, I'm not condoning the use of the word chink. I'm not saying that people should say it, but that's just a little example of, just kind of
But
talking
also,
up.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
also don't let words have so much power over you. If people just were like, okay, whatever, people are going to stop using them. I think, especially when you talk about like the Karen situation, or when people like film people in public losing their shit and they go to some racial slur. If I was there in public, I would just start roasting them back and put them in their place too. I wouldn't stand for that if I saw that happening.
Yeah.
But also the reason a lot of those people do it is because they're not witty, they're not creative, and they're in pain and they're losing their shit, and they're just trying to grab whatever word they know is going to hurt you. Don't let everybody know that word hurts you, and magically it actually won't hurt you, and they won't use it because it doesn't hurt you, But it's hard to get all of society to agree with that, but it's complex,
Yeah, it's just perspective and shit, right? So let's change it up a little bit. I want to know a little bit about you. What's your passion, dude? Like, what lights you on fire, man? I want to know.
There's a whole bunch. I love the content creation. I love comedy. I really want to have a voice. I love talking. I love social. Like, one of my favorite things, like, is really just going to the bar and meeting people, going to like a social environment, I love picking up girls. That's one of my favorite things. It's just I got a girlfriend now, so it's obviously different. But that's something it's like a unique skill that a lot of people wish they had, where you can go into a room of strangers and kind of charm the room. I always hate talking about this because it sounds like I'm just like fluffing my own ego, but it really is like this undeniable thing that I'm really good at, that I developed, that I never used to be good at, and I love it. Like, I get into this flow state where I can just go into this room of strangers and I just start working the room and I pull people in and I make friends, and it's really something that I love to do. But I'm trying to use that skill to transition to my content or my podcast or whatever, because I'm a big nerd too. I love content creation. I love movies. I love app development. Like, I love creating things and telling stories. I always wanted to be a filmmaker or maybe an engineer before, and I'm trying to figure out ways to kind of tie these together. But I also have this unique comedic perspective and social skill too. So I don't know, maybe I'll be in politics or something. I don't know. I'm riding the wave of what feels good at the time, but yeah, I love that stuff. A lot of people are like, you play video games all day. It's like, I would, but no, I don't have, it takes a lot of time to put out a bunch of podcasts and get big on TikTok. And it's like a full-time thing, but I love it. It's a lot of fun.
Is there a movie that really impacted your life?
Dude, I've seen a ton of movies. When I was growing up, that's like pretty much all I watched. And it's interesting because now I literally almost never watch movies. I just don't have time. And I feel like my attention span has been shot to shit because of social media, that it's like I'm watching a movie and I'm on my phone every 15 seconds, like while half watching, half, I don't have 2 hours to just watch a movie. But back in the day, I feel like that's kind of my education of life and of stories, was just, I would watch every Scorsese movie or every Quentin Tarantino movie or every David Fincher movie. As far as ones that affect my life, not in some philosophical way, but there's movies that definitely made me fall in love with movies or made me really respect the art form. And that's what I wanted to do originally, but I never wanted to go grind it out in Hollywood. And I feel like there's another way that I could break into filmmaking down the road if I just build my own audience, and then I can make my own movie. And then Netflix is here now. There's a lot of things you can do that weren't available, 20 years ago as a path into filmmaking. But I also have picked up other passions and skills along the way where maybe I don't want to be a filmmaker. I don't know.
I feel like as content creators, we know it's this way, right? Like, we're going to go north, but things kind of keep pivoting, like slightly, like along the way, like constantly, right?
Got to adapt. And you just got to follow, you got to follow your gut. My thing was like, I never planned on all, 10 or I don't know, 15 years ago when I was coming out of high school and like figuring out what to do with my life. I didn't know what to do. And my parents probably thought I was a loser and I was directionless. It's just like I was. But also I knew like I had a regular job, and I just knew this feels bad. Something about this can't be what my life is. And every day I just wanted to get out of going to work every single day. And at a certain point, I just was like, fuck it. I'm just not going to go to work. What's going to happen? I'm going to be broke. Fine. It's still going to be better than having to do this every day. And it's not like I had a path into like, I'm going to be a social media star. There was no social media. I just knew like, I'll figure it out. Just trust your instincts. If you wake up every day and you just kind of are like doing what you want to do with the day, it's going to lead you in a right direction if you're just aware of the opportunities that are opening up. And I just kind of did that throughout life and did the things that I like to do. And I figured out a way to make money. It was never a ton of money, but it just kept me at least able to wake up and do what I want to do that day. And then opportunities do present when TikTok comes out, and then I get an audience, and now all these doors are opening up, and I'm just going to keep following that. I don't know where it's going to lead, but I know I trust my instincts, and I know it's going to lead somewhere good.
Yeah. Cause dude, I'd rather have way less money and then do what I really want to do, man. I mean, right here, I had to move back home. I'm 31. I had to, but cause it's been 2 years since I started, doing this shit. But before that, I was so miserable. I don't want to be on this earth anymore, but I had more money. What do I do with the money when I'm 24/7 thinking about how to we live and we die. I got to the point where I'm like, stoicism, just we live and we die. That's it. Like, why are we on this earth?
Terrible. It's a terrible feeling. Yeah. I had that same kind of feeling. And how I dealt with it was I didn't have a bunch of money. I just learned how to live super cheap. For most of my 20s, I probably lived off under $1,000 a month, which is, that's poverty level. But I had a great life. My life was so much better than when I was working and I had money in my pocket because, I don't know if it was luck or whatever, but I just started figuring out these ways to like have a good social life where I didn't have to spend money. I lived in a college apartment where like there was a volleyball court and a pool and a lot of young people around. So it's like you could just go outside to the pool and you would have a great social life. And then I started meeting people, and then my sex life started taking off, and I was never having to spend or buy a car. But if I was broke, I would just stop paying my car insurance, sell my car, go walk to the grocery store, buy cheap food. I would just live off like eggs and bacon every single day. And then you actually realize along the way, like, oh, I'm actually healthier and happier. I'm eating better food. I'm not becoming obese. I'm not sitting in a car every day. I'm not wasting money on all these things just to maintain a lifestyle, or like, I don't have to have a car to go to work to pay for the car. I could just get rid of the work and the car, and boom, now I'm just outdoor. So my mental health started getting better. I was exercising more. I was eating better. My social life was better. And then as my friends start graduating and getting more money, they just fall into a job where like, yeah, they got money, but they have no free time ever. It's like, hey, do you want to hang out? We're going here. Oh, I can't. I got to work tomorrow. Oh, I can't. I got to do this. Oh, I can't. Blah, blah. And I'm like, what is the point of having money and having this financial stability, which isn't really stable because you get fired from your job, you're still screwed. And we're seeing that now with coronavirus, and you're not even enjoying your life. Whereas I got to wake up every day and I was stress-free. I just got to do what I want. I didn't have a bunch of money. I was still worried about like, how am I going to get my life together? But and a lot of people even now, they're like, Nick, you look like, I'm 35. People are like, you look 25. And I get that a lot. And I'm like, I think a big reason is because I'm stress-free. I don't sit in traffic every day. I don't live this unhealthy, constantly losing sleep, waking up to go to work that I hate all day just to get money to come home and go to sleep again. That adds up a lot. And so I'm starting to think that's just a great philosophy for life, is to tell people like, don't get it's a lot easier when you're young to just not fall into that trap. But once you have the car payment and the mortgage and the family and the kids, good luck. You can't just quit your job then. You're kind of screwed. You're on a path you can't back out of. And
I just have all these obligations.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think there's nothing wrong with what you're doing. I think it's a much better, happier, healthier life than what most people have, and they don't even recognize it.
Yeah, dude. I was going to off myself.
Oh, man. Well,
like, seriously.
You seem super happy and positive.
Dude, yeah, thank you, man. This is the happy. Here's the thing. Before that happened, I always had like this resting anxiety and depression that never left, no matter how much I fucked, no matter how much I exercised, no matter what the fuck I did. It didn't matter. But then as soon as I broke out of this mental prison of you have to be this, you have to do that, you got to be this status with the job and blah, blah, society, fuck. Then I said, fuck it. I'm going to move home. I'm going to do what I want to fucking do. Finally, at like 28, you know?
What was the catalyst?
Dog,
just because did you get fired, or you just decided one day?
Okay, so I'll sum it up. Okay, main points. After I got fired from Ty Lopez. All right.
Oh, okay. He gave
I
you
didn't even want to work there. I fucking
Yeah.
I didn't want to. I didn't
Fuck
want to
you,
work
Ty
there.
Lopez. I don't need your garage and your $1,000.
Yeah, all your knowledge. It's a heavy weight on my shoulders.
Yeah. Your house is rented, bro.
Yeah. I after that, because I did marketing with them, then my friend invited me to work with him and do marketing, digital marketing with him and then a few other friends. And I was miserable up to that point. And then I moved in with him and I did it. I was working and I was like, with my friends. Yes, I get it. I, I, the work, it's probably not the work. It's because I'm not working with people I love. And then I was working with them. I got even more miserable. I felt guilty. I was like, why the fuck do I feel this guilt? And because I felt the guilt made me feel even more guilty. I was like, you shouldn't be feeling bad, this and that. And then it got to the point where I was so dead that I went up to my friend and I was like, hey, you ever feel like your hand's not your hand? I would do this with my left hand. This felt like
You're like losing your like, what is life?
No, straight up. I was like, I became like, what knee? Where you
nihilist?
Nihilist. I became a nihilist, and then I didn't realize that every second of the day I was thinking of like, oh, I could just put a belt around my neck in the closet.
Wow.
Every second of the day, and I didn't realize it. It got worse and worse, and I was like, it wouldn't be so bad. Anthony Bourdain did it. I could just do it. I thought that. I swear to God. And then when it finally hit me, I was like, yo, what the fuck? So that made me think twice. And then there was two other quick things. Then I went to a Tony Robbins event in Chicago with my former girlfriend at the time, Unleash the Power Within. That helped me realize more of like what I want to do. And then the thing that really pushed me over the edge to finally make that final jump was I talked to this guy with cancer. He had cancer for 2 weeks. 60-year-old man. His name was also Mike. And so me and him were talking, and then the girlfriend at the time and the wife of Mike was on the right. So we're talking. He asked me, "What do you do?" And I said, "I do digital marketing." And he's like, "Do you like it?" And I hesitated. And I normally say, "Oh, it's flexible. It's cool. I can do what I want." Right? The whole bullshit.
The rationalizing.
Yes.
That
the rationale.
Yes, I'm happy. I like my job. No, you don't. You're sitting in a fluorescent lit office every day. You hate your life.
Yeah. Right. Just like that. And then I said, well, it's flexible. And then normally I stop it there. And I was like, let me just be a little honest. And then I said, well, I'm actually thinking of doing something else. And then he leaned in and he said, good, do it. And I was like, whoa, why is he being so intense? And he goes on to saying that for 30 years of his life, he was a district manager of different Lowe's and Home Depots, right? So traveling all across the country, making like 250 to like 350K a year. Okay. And working like 60, 80 hours a week. And then he said, if he could go back in time, what he would have done was been an accountant making like 60, 80K a year, having more time for his family, working less hours, and then spending his free time reading technical instruction manuals. Technical instruction manuals, meaning like how to build a chair or like piecing it together, the shit you get from IKEA. And I was like, well, that's weird. Right. And because he's like, I like numbers. I'm actually an introvert because the job as a district manager, very extroverted, right? And then when he said that, after he said, I would rather do the accounting thing, blah, blah, he leaned in and he said, I regret every decision I've ever made in my life. Yeah. That hit me so hard.
Out of it.
Dude, I was like, I can't be this man. I can't be him. He gave me a fucking gift. 30 years of regret. 30 years of saying 2 weeks, once you get diagnosed with cancer, I can only imagine in like a minute you think of everything. He had 2 weeks to think of every fucking decision he's made in his life.
So wait, this is like he died in 2 weeks?
No. When I met him, he was diagnosed with cancer for 2 weeks.
Okay.
So he's known for 2 weeks that he's got cancer.
Gotcha. So he's reflecting on everything.
Dude, 24/7.
Wow.
Man. Yeah.
That's crazy. Who knows what would have happened if you never ran into that guy or had that conversation? Dude, does he know like how that affect? I hope he survived it, or did he not? Do you know?
Last I checked, he's doing all right, but I'm not with the girl anymore.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
But he was doing all right. He's good. And I think she told him for me.
Yeah.
Which is, he gave me a gift, man. You can't do that. 30 years of just, because if anybody else said it, if like a 25-year-old said it, I'd be like, fuck, okay, cool. Like, I get it. Right. Okay.
Mm.
Right. But this fucking 60-year-old, 30 plus years.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I think that's what snapped me out of it. And this was years ago when I was working, I was working at a gas station called Quick Trip. I don't know if they're big in like the East Coast. It's like a convenience store, like a racetrack. I don't know what gas stations you have out there. It was a good job, good pay, good benefits, but hustle, you're on your feet all day, all this. And I was talking to some other guy that was like a little bit older, I was much younger at the time. And he didn't have all this wisdom looking back, but he was looking forward at his life. And he was like, yeah, this is a great company with all these benefits. And I'm going to work here for 20 years and I'm going to get hired up to here. And then I'm going to be able to put my money in the stocks and I'm going to be able to do, and he had this whole thing. And I was like, all I was hearing as he was saying this was like, I have to work here for 20 years. I hate it now. Is this really what's going to happen? Is I'm going to be and it snapped me like, whoa. I'm not going to work here for 20 years. Like he thought he was motivating me and he was telling me the exact opposite without even realizing it. And I'll always remember that conversation because that was the day I was like, I'm not going to be this guy. I'm quitting this right now. And it was like the opposite of what, because he didn't have the wisdom. And I'm sure that guy's probably looking back, probably like, I hate this decision I've made. Who knows? Maybe he's okay. But I was just like, no, that is not going to be what my life is. This feels soul sucking right now. I'm not spending the next 20, 30 years of my life doing this. I don't give a fuck about the pay or the benefits. I'll be broke. I don't care.
So what would you have been doing?
Well, I mean, at that time I was working. I wanted to be, I was a big nerd as far as like when I was in high school, I really wanted to go to like MIT or Georgia Tech. I'm from Atlanta and I wanted to be a roller coaster engineer, like design roller coasters. Cause I'm obsessed with roller coasters still to this day. I guess that's one of my passions still. And, but I also recognize that same feeling is like, yes, that's something I would love to do, but I don't want it to define my life where I'm literally putting myself through all these years of schooling and I'm on this path that you can't back out of. And I just kind of intuitively knew like, I don't want to just have that be my life. There's all these other things I want to wake up and just fuck around with my friends. I want to smoke weed. I want to watch movies. I want to, do stand-up comedy, whatever it is. And so many people just get on a career path and a schooling path and it's like, that's their life. And so I was like, I don't want to do that. I'll figure out a different way. And there's so many other things I'm passionate about. And then, I fell into the app engineering because I always had an analytical engineering type mind. And then the iPhone came out, which opened up a whole bunch of opportunities. My life really changed with like Google. When Google came out, it allowed me to really go from being a naive kid to learning things and realizing things about the world that my parents never taught me and just being able to self-teach myself and hear different perspectives. And then podcasts came out and you could hear all these cool conversations. And then when the iPhone came out, I was just that's when I had quit my job. And I was just kind of trying to figure out what to do. And I was trying to start a company at the time that was like a video production type company because that was one of my passions as well. And I realized that's when the economy tanked in 2008. And I was like, well, this is not going to work. I need to figure out something on the internet or something that can scale or I can do from home. And the iPhone came out at the time and the App Store came out. And I had been learning how to build a website for my company at the time. And then I was like, I could learn how to build apps. I saw all these apps making tons of money. I was like, I could just teach myself how to do that. And that's how I stumbled into that. And I loved it and made good money over the years. And then that just allowed me to have a lot of free time. I mean, I spent a lot of time working, but I was able to consume podcasts and audiobooks and all day, every day while people were at work thinking about only their job. I was able to sit here and be creative, learn a valuable skill, but also listen and learn about all kinds of things, about politics, about the world, about life in general. And that I think pays off dividends over 10 years when then I have all these new perspectives. And that's what allows me to talk and have a lot of ideas and keep a conversation going. So that adds benefits to your social life when you go meet a stranger or, we just met or, meeting girls at a bar or whatever. It's like you can always have a conversation and then that adds dividends. And I just always realized like these little things that seemed like mistakes at the time or like I didn't have my shit together actually were real big benefits that 10 years later just added a lot of benefits to my life. And now it's all kind of coming together where the social media stuff, the programming stuff, the video production stuff, the comedy stuff, I'm kind of bringing it all together into, having an audience and trying to build something with it.
Yeah. Cause I think I saw a video about you saying that you were trying to keep, you're thinking of making an app that's just free of all the PC shit and you can really express yourself. Is that correct?
I actually had built a prototype for a social network like 2 years ago, and it was a working prototype. But it's not, you know, you need engineers, you need investment. These types of things cost a lot of money. But I know how to build apps, and I have a unique perspective in that I have a lot of opinions about free speech, content creation, comedy, but also I've been a big content creator on many apps, and I'm a big content creator on this app. So I kind of see both sides, from the engineering side, the free speech side, to the content creation side. And then I have a passion for it. So I feel like I'm in a unique position where I could kind of build an app that's built specifically with all those things in mind. Mm-hmm. I just have to get the investment. So, you know, that may be something that I do in the next couple of years if I can build this into, you know, a business and I start making money, and or it just opens the doors to the right connections where I can get investors or other engineers to work with me. And it's something that's kicking around my head, but I think the opportunity is going to present itself, because with all these censored apps that are all focused on just money, mm-hmm. maybe I can build an app that's not so focused on money. It's just focused on the community, free speech, you know, something that fills the purpose that I don't feel any of these other apps are really succeeding at.
Yeah, because a lot of creators that I've talked to, including myself, we feel so restricted that it's here's the thing. You be yourself, then because you're being yourself, you have videos that hit, you get a bigger following, and because you're a bigger following, now they notice you, and then you and then the things that worked for you, which is being yourself, then you get punished for being yourself, and then you change yourself, and you fucking like are like, do I even want this anymore? Like I don't know anymore. Like that's why when I heard you say that, I was like praying to God. I was like, please make this fucking happen. I would love that, dude. And a lot of people would.
I know. And I think that's what's going to, if I can build, that's why I'm really trying to build my brand as like the free speech guy, or this kind of personality. So I can attract an audience that's kind of a part of this mission and knows what I'm about. So that way, if I do get to the point where I can build an app, I already have an audience that's already on the same page, and we can take it and hopefully run with it. But an app is big, you know, TikTok is not you know, you need billions of infrastructure, not billions, but millions of infrastructure behind it. And it's not, you know, that's a whole endeavor on itself. So it's an idea I'm thinking about, and it may present itself, but I'm also hoping somebody else comes along and does it too.
If anybody's listening to this and you have
guys,
money.
Yeah, Silicon Valley, start the free speech. Because I know what you mean. It's like I was building all this momentum on TikTok, and then they just ban me, and they don't even tell me what I did wrong. And I know I'm provocative, but it's like, tell me what I did wrong so I don't do that again. And instead, so then when I start this new account, I got all my followers back, and it's like I'm timid to post too, not because I care about the backlash, but because I'm like, what if they just ban me for this and I just violate the thing again? At least tell us what the rules are and be consistent with them. And all these apps are just so quick to, they don't care about us. They just shut you down. And it would be great to have an app that is really focused on, look, there's going to be some ridiculous things on here. There might be some things that you think are hateful or hate speech, but it's the real town square. If you go to a bar, it's going to be a mix of all kinds of people saying all kinds of things. And you either have to learn how to get along or don't come to that bar, you know? And I would love an app like that.
That's a great analogy or metaphor, whatever the fuck, which one that is. I don't know.
Yeah.
What is that, a metaphor or analogy? I'm bad at this shit.
A metaphor, yeah.
Metaphor. That's a fantastic fucking metaphor.
Yeah. And that's the kind of app I want it to be. The bar, you know, it's the place where you come and you can just meet anybody, but you have to come and make a name for yourself. You got to be throwing yourself out there and introducing yourself, but also you have to be able to take that other people are being themselves, and there's going to be chaos and people have to get along, you know? And TikTok kind of does that, but they're so heavily censored. And it's clearly, as they grow, they're more focused on being a business and a corporation. They're not really focused on the free speech aspect, as none of these apps really are.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I always like to ask this question before I end the podcast. What is something that you live by every day?
Live by,
like something that drives you, something you believe in, that you try to do, you know, just for your life, like every day. What is it? It could be a belief. It could be a thing you do, habit, whatever it may be that you do every day, that you try to do every day.
I mean, really, I think it is this like the free, I feel like I want to be pushing back on cancel culture. And I feel like my whole life has been a bit of on a path of of don't censor me, don't silence me. And I've always wanted to have a voice, and I've always wanted to have people listen. And now with what I see in culture, I mean, my code of ethics of everything that I put out there is just don't tell me what to say and what to think and what to do. And I see that happening in culture more and more. And I want to somehow be a force for fighting against that. And it sounds so, self-aggrandizing or whatever, but I think culture needs something. A lot of people will say from listening to my podcast, it sounds so douchey to say this, but they're like, you're kind of like the modern day Howard Stern, where he was kind of pushing the limits of what was appropriate for that time and place and culture. And that it's not that I think of myself that way, but I love hearing that because I've heard that several times. And I'm like, yeah, I could do something like that. And I wake up and I'm thinking about content, and I'm thinking about standing up for my principles. And I've even stood up for other people on the app that I don't even agree with, and I've had battles with when they get canceled. And I'm like, I feel for them too, even though I don't agree with them. And everybody else is like, haha, you got taken down because I don't like you. And I'm like, whoa, guys, imagine if that was somebody you liked. Like, she deserves to have a platform too. I want everybody to have a voice and a platform. And that's just kind of my principle of like my code of ethics of how I live. And it's just my life lately, this whole year has been so consumed with TikTok. So that's kind of what I'm always thinking, and putting out so much content on the podcast. So it's like morning, noon, and night. I'm pretty much waking up and it's like, all right, what's going on TikTok? What am I putting out today? But it's all of this greater goal of kind of pushing back against cancel culture.
I respect that, man. I really like, I'm glad we had this conversation, dude. And I think it's really good for people to see this side of you, like beyond just Nick Foster, TikTok guy,
Yeah, the jokes. I know it's such a sarcastic, sliver of who I am, but there is a lot more under there.
Yeah. So, is there anything you want to plug in before we end the podcast?
Yeah, I mean, for anybody who doesn't know me on TikTok, follow Nick Foster Official. That's my new screen name since Nick Foster Jokes is dead. R.I.P. Nick Foster Jokes. And Instagram, Nick Foster Official. And really follow me if you want to hear more of these conversations or hear kind of how I am with my girlfriend. I think we have an interesting podcast and it's really starting to grow. So subscribe to that on YouTube. It's Quality Time with Nick and Aaron. And if you find me on any of my socials, all my links are there.
All right, guys. You heard it from the man himself. Thank you, Nick, for being on this podcast. And guys, thank you for listening. This has been another episode of the Setbreaker Podcast. And until then, have a good night, have a good morning, and have a great day. See ya.
Awesome, Mike. Bye.